Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Mathis again. We're on 7.2 for loops. So let's take a look at what Codehs wants us to do. Write a program that prints out the numbers from 10 to 100 by tens as seen below. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm just going to copy this here just so we can comment this out. Okay, so let's write a program. So we are going to write some sort of for loop. Okay, so remember, if you're confused or you're not sure, you can't remember, make sure you're going to this documentation. We're going here. All right, this is what we're looking at. We're looking to print some sort of range. Okay, so this says for number in range. Now, we could always do for I in range. It doesn't really matter what is here as long as you keep it consistent. So we can do for I in range, for number in range. So we're gonna do I for I in range, but like I said, it doesn't you can change it up for I in range. Okay. So what we've done a lot is when you put one number in, that means it will loop it whatever number you put inside. If you are putting commas in, it gives you like a sequence, okay? With the starting number 10, the ending number, if you wanted 100, you need to put one more than 100 if you're going to count by tens, okay? So this is the starting number, this is the ending number, and this is the interval you want these numbers to be counted by, okay? So if we're going to print I, what happens? Okay, you see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Remember, this is the interval. If you put the interval to be 5, it will just count the numbers by 5. Okay, so check the code. All right, good. Let's move on. All right, now we're going to average test score. Write a program that asks the user for 3 test scores. The program should then report the average of these 3 scores. Okay, we'll need to call it input. You should have only one line that has this, a for loop, arithmetic operators. So let's give it a go. Let's give it a try. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, so remember we want to call an input, a for loop, an arithmetic. Sorry, I'm having a hard time saying this word. An arithmetic operator. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So we run a for loop 3 times because there's 3 scores. Okay, so for I in range, we're gonna loop this 3 times. Okay. Now, what are we going to loop? Okay. We want the user to enter 3 test scores, right? So we don't know what the test scores is. We want the user to input it. So let's put the variables, let's put in a variable score, okay? Input, we'll put enter test score. Okay, good. Now we want this to be repeated 3 times, so that's why we have it in the range. Now we're going to have to come up with some sort of average. So as we know from basic math, an average, you'll add up the 3 scores and divide by 3. So as the input comes in, we're going to have to somehow add it up every time it comes through. So this is kind of difficult to think on your own if you're new to coding, but you'll start to develop some sort of rhythm. You start to develop kind of how to do these sort of things. So when you're going to add something up in a loop, you want to start at a value like 0. Okay, you want to start at 0. So the total score is 0. Okay, and as the scores come in, you want it to add to that 0. So total score plus score. So I hope you understand what I'm saying here. So we have 0 as total score. And as the user inputs the score, it will add to 0 and give us a final score at the end. Okay? Okay, so let's see if we can like take a look at how this will work. Just so you can see it, we can print um, total score. Okay, and remember, we need to make this an integer. Okay, so let's see if we can output it and we can see what's happening here. I know this, we may be doing this for the first time. So let's say we get a 55 the first test, a 65 the second test, we get 100 the second test. Okay, good. As you see, it adds up the scores, and that's what it prints. Now, we need to do one more step, right? One more step. Now we have the total, once we have that total score, right? What do we need to do? We need to divide that by 3, right? We need to divide that by 3. So let's put that in a variable average score. Okay, let's put that in a variable average score. And now let's see if we can print average score. Okay, again, 55, 65. Can we boost our grade with that last score? All right, 7.33333333. All right, so is that it? Okay, that's it. That's all we needed to do. Um, remember, try to always comment your code out so you can remember what we did. And we will copy and paste to put that here. All right, we can shorten that. All right, very good. Let's move on. Okay, how many names? Does this take a while to load up? All right, some people just have a first name and a last name. Some people have a middle name. Some people have 5 middle names. So we just don't know. We are trying to write a program that prints someone's full name regardless of how many names that they have. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Okay. Um, okay, so let's try to figure this out. Let's see, assignments. Um, okay, we'll write a program that actually uses their name, finally print their full name. So we'll just put that right here. Let's say time. We can. Okay. All right, there you go. All right, so let's get started. So first we have to ask the user um, how many names do they have. So let's input how many names do you have? Okay. All right. So, all right. How many names do you have? Good. So we want them to put an integer in. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Let's actually call this how many. How many names? Kind of long, but kind of tells us, I like it kind of better. It's clear what we're doing. So remember for I in range, we want to enter, we want it to loop however many times the user puts in. Okay? So how many times the user puts in, that's how many times we're going to loop this. Now we want the user to enter having names they have, right? So we are going to, we want the user to input, let's put enter name. I think that's simple enough. Understood, enter name, right? And we have to save this in some sort of variable. So we're going to put name. So however many times they say how many names they have, it'll loop it, it'll ask them to enter that many names. Okay. So we need to actually print their full name at the bottom. Now, once you start doing these a lot, you'll start to get the hang of it. Okay. Now you can make a string that contains a string with 0 characters like this. So when you're, it's just like the last problem. The last problem added numbers together. This you're adding strings together. So you're combining strings. So when you're combining strings, you have to start with some sort of blank string. In the last problem we did, we started with 0. So this is just like a 0 string, so an empty string. So we'll put names, okay, and just an empty string, names. So whenever somebody enters a name, is going to be added to the name. Okay, so however many they enter will be added. And then we're going to print names. Okay, now let's just run it just to be sure. Okay, so let's put, okay, how many names do you have? I'm gonna put 3 names, right? Mr. Python Mathis, whatever you put in. Okay, what's the problem here? We don't have a space in between. Do you notice that, right? We need a space. Now this names is empty, so we don't have to worry about putting a space there. We need to put a space every time a name is entered. We need a space, right? And so it'll continually do it. So let's now run the code again. Okay, Mr. Okay, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I didn't read carefully. How many names do you have? I have 3 names. Okay, what is my name? Mr. Python Mathis. Okay, now what do we get? We enter. There you go. Okay, now let's check the code. Good. So have many names? Someone puts 5, 6, 7, 8 names. Um, that's what should happen. All right, any questions, please ask. All right, good job, everybody.